This is Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing, in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. In today's episode, we're digging into the elements that hold a story together, subplots, connective tissue and transitions, and how they shape a smoother, more compelling narrative. Join us. And welcome back to Fictional Problems, the podcast where we discuss all things writing in association with Speculative Fiction Ireland. On today's episode, your hosts, myself, Gary J. Martin, and
myself, A.R. McNevin.
We are going to just shy away from the main plot, the overarching story. We're going to go to the side.
Yes.
We're going to go subplot.
I maybe should point out that we're in a bit of a giddy mood today, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. So subplots, secondary characters, all those other elements that enhance, bolster, kind of create a wider, kind of more full picture, more full story. Just to kind of talking about a few aspects of what's important, I guess, for a subplot, connective tissue, that sort of thing.
Sure.
So for example, I suppose we can talk about our own writing and the stories and subplots and things that come along with that. Kicking off, I suppose I'd just like to ask, what do you think? How many subplots do you think should be in a story, a novel, whether it's part of a longer series or a standalone?
Oh,
because I think it changes, perhaps.
It does, and from a subplot point of view, it's again different from a kind of a secondary character point of view. From a subplot, as many as needed, as many as wanted. There isn't we're not the hard and fast rule people.
Definitely not.
That which serves the main plot.
Yeah. I guess that's the guiding principle of any subplot. Whether you shouldn't have 100 subplots. Say you have one or two. The main purpose, I guess, of a subplot, I feel, is to serve the main plot.
Yes, and that can serve in very many ways. Isn't it? You can have a subplot that's simply serves from an expositional point of view.
Mm-hmm.
That one thing that I'm finding just actually in my own writing at the moment, trying to express. So I'm half writing a sci-fi at the moment, where there is where I'm trying to talk about how the engines work.
Okay.
And that's not a very natural thing to slip into a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the head gasket there runs to the carburetor. It doesn't run to the carburetor. Any engineer listening to this, or mechanic will be like, what? Well,
and it seems like a forced thing to include into a conversation. Essentially, it's the reason why these I think it's required for major issues later on, that essentially every starship has got two engines. One essentially is a gravity engine to make it lighter.
Yeah.
So that needs less fuel to push it. So you have one engine to push it, one engine to make it lighter.
That's smart engineering.
Yeah. So and this is the reason why they have managed to get. And then they've got the small engines to push them around a solar system, and the bigger engines to push them from solar system.
Yeah.
So that's why you can say, okay, well, you only have a small engine on your ship, so you're just in the solar system. That limits the scope for the world building aspect, and then you have the gravity engine to kind of keep it so that if they're burning through fuel, then they can adjust to, if they can push the gravity engine to make it lighter, it'll require less fuel. Yeah. So that's a solution in itself. So you're interested in technology.
That's physics, yo.
It is, as you say, physics. Yo. So how do I introduce this? Like, I thought about introducing it as like almost like a snapshot of the start of like a newspaper article.
Yeah.
At the start of it. That doesn't work. So having a subplot to somehow describe that, having two people discuss, like the ship that the heroes have goes in the dry dock, and there's a problem with this engine. That is a subplot that has no relevance to anything else, can be excised without issue, but has allows you to go, this is how phasers work, this is how shields work, so that later on, when you're in the middle of a fight, the reader doesn't have to then step out of the fight to go, by the way, this is a Valerian steel sword, this means this. It's just they understand the terminology from the subplot.
Because I would actually find that quite jarring, and I think the Song of Ice and Fire, I know we reference it quite a lot, but there are a number of times where you're bouncing along in the story, you're with the characters, things are happening, and then it's almost like the author is putting his hand up to the side of side. Oh, by the way,
yes,
this happened back then, and also this character really liked this stuff or drank this wine.
Yeah.
And then it comes back and you're going, what? You just spun my head around for no particular reason, and now I'm back here. Okay, let's continue after that slightly irrelevant, but it's not irrelevant information. It's like a little bit of exposition, but it's not naturally happening.
Yes, yeah. And that is, I guess, a key for any plot at all that you're trying to put in, has to be natural. But it's especially if the focus of that plot is you want it to be exposition, because exposition in itself, like, I would tend to, my exposition in anything I write tends to be natural and as natural and conversational as possible. That's why this particular thing sticks out to me, that I know my characters aren't going to have this conversation unless I force it to happen.
Yeah, sure.
In this case, in a subplot. So I will happily leave things out or not have things fully explained, denying Brendan Sanderson's first rule of writing,
which is
that you basically have to explain. Actually, I'll read it off in a second.
Okay.
But that you have to basically have to explain something before you use it. So I would go, no, this is a living, breathing world.
Yeah.
I follow the Dancing Woolly Masters approach of gravity doesn't stop for you to figure out airspeed, or to figure out how the world works.
Okay.
You have to break it down yourself. That was a weird tangent, wasn't it? Welcome to the world.
The weird tangent is where we live, I think.
Yes. If we have to rename the podcast, weird tangent.
So
carry it out.
So there was, I think, there is a Harvard professor whose name is escaping me. I might be able to get it at some point and include it in the notes. But there is a Harvard professor who was once quoted as saying that generalizations without examples and examples without generalizations are useless. So
say that again.
Examples without generalization and generalization without examples is useless, is what he was saying. Maybe there's another tangent, but he's basically in explaining things like we do. So, for example, you can have a number of different subplots going along. Obviously, they're all going along at the one time in the overarching story, shall we say?
Right.
So, I think to give an example, then,
right,
how about Star Wars?
Right.
So, overarching plot is rebels against the Empire, the war that's going on. Individual movies have their themes and have their stories of blowing up the Death Star,
or blowing the Death Star,
or at the end blowing up the Death Star. But within those, the goals of the characters to get together and then blow up the Death Star, you have different subplots such as a mentor-mentee subplot of Obi-Wan and Luke.
Yeah.
You have a buddy subplot where there's Han and Chewie. There's a sort of at some, like in among the three movies, there's the romantic subplot of Leia and Han.
Yeah.
So like all these things are, they have connective tissue,
right,
to the overarching war that is ongoing. But these are the kind of examples that I'm talking about in terms of subplots within the wider
Sure,
story.
sure, yeah.
So I just wanted to give an example of what I was thinking in
Oh,
relation.
I get it. Sure,
Yeah.
I was wondering where you're going with that. Now I understand.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. So just for listener,
Yes,
for,
Bob, understand.
yeah. So taking Star Wars as that example is like, yeah, you have all these minor stories happening to bolster or to not fill in the blanks, but to add variety, I suppose.
Okay.
Which I think a subplot kind of needs to do.
Well, as you're talking about there, I kind of so it's a bit almost a bit early in the pod to flip the script slightly, but
Oh,
of
oh,
what
by all means.
of all that you've mentioned, one could say that each of those are elements of the main plot. That
Yeah.
as in say, you could say that the the relationship between Leia and Luke
Hmm.
causes is the moment where Luke as in when Vader threatens to target his sister.
Sorry, the family subplot is also
Yeah. So, but as soon as Vader goes sister, that's when Luke goes wild and in
Yeah.
the final battle beats him down. That's the moment where that causes. So, without the existence of the subplot, the main plot is lacking. So, it is a so I guess we're talking about them in a separate way, but they are, and they can be excised out without some the explanation the stuff
Okay.
the type of
Take a breath.
type of subplot we talked about before about the information. It can be excised out, but some subplots are necessary meat for the grill,
Yes.
grist in the mill. That you need to provide the color, not just for the many Bothans died. Who the fuck are the Bothans?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no, but they were important because many Bothans died.
Who were they actually? Because when they do Rogue One, who are the Bothans?
Well,
No Bothans.
that's two different Death Stars. The Bothans who died were for the second Death Star, not for Rogue One.
Okay, never mind. We're moving on. That's
Okay.
good point.
So, but the subplot itself needs to function it is a functional part of the main plot.
Yes.
This is why I keep going back to everything can boil down to character plot and world building.
Mm-hmm.
That those three things function together. Plot is, whether it be main plot, subplot,
Yeah.
they're all needed together. And if it's not needed, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Like kill your darlings if it's your favorite plot. If it's you have characters who are in the middle of whether it be the Han Solo type or the Malcolm Reynolds type, they're doing their thing, and you have a wonderful subplot that you really love where they do a heist.
Yeah.
If this heist, as good as it is, you excise it out and put it in a short story.
Okay.
If it's not necessary to the plot,
Yeah, it's not serving the plot.
yeah. If it is, as you say, as in takes a hard road left away, especially if you're kind of coming to near the end. If it serves in any way, if as a pause, as a reprieve from tension, these things can work. But if you also may not want that tension to be reprieved from.
Yeah.
So
you want to keep the screws on, keep the tension high.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a point. So you can, I think a good way to kind of integrate subplots. Should we talk about how to integrate a subplot? Or I mean,
Sure,
again,
sure.
we're not like hard advice. This is just perhaps how I do it. So it's always yeah. First and foremost, I think you have to establish the main plot first. Do you
sure.
think?
Well, that's
As in at least the main character, main kind of the main idea of the story, the main character, where they are and what's going on prior to a subplot coming in.
Would you can, I would say you can do it that way, as in you have the main thing you want to talk about, and then the subplots kind of become naturally the thing that you talk about after that,
Yeah.
or as well as. But
Although I am aware, like as I'm saying that in the second book, that's not how I start.
sure,
Even though it does, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It makes good. You kind of set up things, the reader's kind of orientated, and then a subplot can start. I was like, yeah, I agree with that kind of principle, but it's not how I actually did it in the second book.
sure. Well, 'cause what I was thinking was that from a blank page point of view,
Hmm.
a subplot could be simply the plot that gets less focus.
Yes,
That
not less important, but less focus.
the importance, capital I importance,
Hmm.
perhaps I would say yes, it is getting less importance, but not lowercase importance. That you could have a case where you have I tend to write from an ensemble point of view.
Yeah.
That you have each individual character. Like I like the line from Willem Dafoe that when he's asked, "Do you prefer playing heroes or villains?" Says, it doesn't matter. Everyone thinks they're righteous, and
Yeah.
that
Everyone's a hero in their own story.
exactly.
Yeah.
Whether it's the guy who has one line or no line, I try and I often fail in this regard of just because I don't like throwing in a bunch of people to get redshirted.
Yeah.
That like at the moment I'm working on actually the second book to the one that's being released this week. And I'm coming to a fight, and I know I need a bunch of red shirts, and I really don't like it. That I want to send 12 people into this fight, and 2 people survive.
Yeah.
That means 10 people are going to die, and I know that I haven't introduced them, so all they're going to be is red shirts, and don't like that as a concept.
Okay.
Because essentially they're just going to be, Bob 1, Bob 2.
So how is the reader going to emote with those deaths, or how are they going to feel the impact of people they don't know dying?
That's an excellent quandary, and a problem I have in my fiction. Almost a fictional problem.
It's a fictional problem.
It's a fictional problem.
You've come to the right place.
Oh my God.
Step right in, sir. The doctor will see you now.
So to solve this problem for me, I've just finished the briefing, so they know what they're doing. They know why they're doing it, and they're about to launch in. There's 2 ways I could do this. One, I should say 2 or 3 ways I could do this. The first is I could just skip past it and have it as the main character or this character experiencing in retrospect.
Okay, yeah.
That they're in the medical bay afterwards, and there's just corpses around them,
Okay.
and they're bloodied, and it's like some of this blood is they're bloody. That's like none of this blood is mine. Like the idea of of this is a continuation of their own story, so their own subplot. That they wanted to be part of this group. They wanted advancement. They wanted this is a whole kind of career focused thing.
Yeah.
They wanted to be here, and now they're looking at the experiencing a result of that want.
Okay. Well, I mean, off the top of my head, you could do, as in you said, there's a briefing scene.
Yep.
Immediately I got ideas or I was reminded of Aliens.
Sure.
Where they're all sitting around. You don't know who any of these people are really necessarily. There's just flashes of personality and interactions between them that might, you go, there's a history here. These guys are a tight unit. These things are implied in how they talk to each other.
Okay.
And the interactions, like the playful banter and the not so playful banter, you know, between characters that like each other and characters that might not like each other as much.
Sure.
And that gets you invested in this little group that you don't really know. Now, I know in Aliens, there's a lot more space for those characters to develop before they die.
There's hours. Yes.
Yeah. But it was a good start.
But the thing is, in that regard, you have one line from Farrow and Waspowski, Spunkmeyer.
Yeah.
As in Spunkmeyer has 2 lines in that, and he's the co-pilot. Like Frost has a single line that by the way, I can name them all.
Yeah.
But so you do establish enough to get you invested in them.
Yeah.
Especially because the focus was on Vasquez, on Hicks, on Hudson,
Yeah.
and even on Drake. And I think like Drake is the one who has the biggest significance because
Yeah.
because Drake.
What about
Drake and
Dietrich
Vasquez,
and Crow? Who were they?
yeah, exactly. As in, and Frost and Wispowski. All you get is I couldn't picture who was Vasquez. All I can hear is Hicks over the radio going Wispowski.
Yeah.
Like Frost dies because he has the clips. But yeah, there's enough red shirts, but there's enough about the guys to go, okay, let's see who survives, who doesn't.
Yeah. I was just going to say, in that briefing though, you do kind of you get the personality of characters that actually end up surviving a bit longer, like Hudson,
yep,
Vasquez,
yep,
Drake.
Well, yeah, but Drake survives up. Well, he's the last of the guys to die, but he's the one who is most likely to survive because he's one of the big guns, literally, and that he and Vasquez have the most established relationship of someone who doesn't make it.
Yeah.
Because the two of them look, maybe they could almost, whether it be a camaraderie or a romance. There's a potential story there.
Yeah.
The fact that he gets killed off is the reason why she's like, no, she's trying to fight to get it back out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but that briefing scene does a lot to get you to relate to them.
Sure.
These are a bunch of hombres. They're badass soldiers that have been together for quite some time.
Yeah.
Especially when they're talking about how many combat drops is this.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know, geez, 2 for the lieutenant.
Yeah.
You get that sense of just from meeting them all in one group.
Yeah.
You kind of get that sense of, okay, these are the people kind of to watch. These are the people,
Yeah. Like even like in most of their interactions, Vasquez and Hudson are antagonistic.
Yeah.
But when they're questioning Gorman, the two of them go, and both of them are going, Jesus.
Yeah.
And you can see it, and there's very much as much as this person, I may fuck with them, I may insult them, I may be.
Yeah, I still got his back.
Yeah, so no, well, and you could say that yes, because that person has the gun, and I have a gun, and I want that gun pointed in a different direction other than my back. But so I must do this. So the briefing was for the higher ups, but the thing is that's it. So, but you're not wrong in using that idea as an introduction. So I have skipped. I've taken that. I've almost ruled out that as an option.
Okay,
but that is a very viable option I could have used. Essentially, I used the briefing moment to highlight the higher ups.
Yeah.
So
you can display competency in one or lack of experience in another.
No, as in the higher ups in the organization.
Yeah. Okay.
So the guy's not involved in the combat at all. Essentially, the briefing was one exposition for, as I like to have exposition being as natural as possible.
Yeah.
The purpose of the briefing scene for me was to green light the operation. That basically, essentially, the highest higher ups have already greenlit it.
Yeah,
and
it's working its way down the chain. Yeah.
Well, this is more no one in the stream is going to say no, or the person who's going to say no is going to say no for a political reason.
Okay.
It's like the person who. Like in politics, where it's like 100 people vote for impeachment and one person says no.
Yeah.
But that person actually wants impeachment, but he's making a political point or a legislative point.
He's like, I'll say no until they come back to me with a better offer.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. But the idea, I think it was in the States last year, they had. I think it was one of the impeachments, and in the Senate it was 99 people. It was across the board, 99 people voted for impeach, and one voted not to impeach, and the reason was that he was signaling to I think it was whether it was Trump or whether whoever was being impeached, that is like, no, I am your person.
Yeah, okay.
It
could be any number of reasons.
Well, everyone else was no, we're going to go follow the law. So I've excluded the idea of an introduction to the people in that moment. I've also excluded the idea of introducing them when there's a first fight earlier on, that they are shown as being, like, I think I name dropped 3 of them out of potentially 15. The rest of them are just Delta, Gamma, Alpha companies.
Okay.
but that's just when they're being used. As in, the focus in that fight was the things they were killing,
Okay.
rather than them themselves.
Yeah, I got
And the order of Delta Company kill that, the thing then dies. So they were a object to be used rather than a character. Now I'm killing them off. I don't want them considered to be objects.
Yeah.
So if it's a retrospective, then I can be a bit more poetic. I can then do a bit of memory thing of she remembers only specific moments along the way, so I don't have to do a full out timeline.
Yeah. Character snapshots, kind of.
Exactly that. Yeah, as in she can go, and I don't need to introduce a full 15 of them or 12 of them, how many red shirts. Then all she needs to do is per bed that she sees this one guy, he's covered in acid or he's been burned, and then that's a spark for that one scene.
He mentioned his daughter or something.
Well, and
they were talking.
I mean more that the spark of that one, seeing that body or seeing that person, whether it be alive or dead, that will cause her to remember how that thing happened.
Okay, yeah.
So it will become they're in this corridor. Big Beastie comes out, spits acid at them. That's how he dies. She shot and killed a Big Beastie, or someone shot them and killed a Big Beastie. So so in that moment, is she the hero, or did someone have to? Did she freeze? Did she think of herself? Did she run? Did she choose not to breach first? Or as in, all these things can. So I essentially force a scene by scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Or I do actually do the proper battle, because this is there is one more fight to happen.
And as we were talking about, battles themselves are like 3-act structures almost.
Yes. So that'll be a heavy chunk of action inside this novel. And there is one more fight to happen after it, basically a small fight before this is the kind of the big action set piece essentially in the novel. And then there's one more afterwards with the remnant of whoever's left participate in the last battle.
Yeah. But this battle is part of the main plot.
No, so this is a subplot, but they then get called in. Whoever's left essentially get called in to be part of the final battle.
Okay,
which is very small. It's essentially, imagine that the first part is a battalion, and the second, for the main battle is a battalion strength, and the second one is a squad strength. It's like the first one is in fatigues, and the second one is in civvies.
Okay,
that there is a shift in difference in operation. Essentially, it's someone walking in afterwards going, we know you've just been through this shit, but we need your unit to help here. And then it's off to the next fight. And then that triggers all the conversations of whether or not this character wants to continue with this, because they are a survivor of this, which means that they are, simply by experience, that will cause their rank to increase, or that by they get the whatever the version of the Purple Heart is. Okay. And that will then increase their likelihood of promotion, which is what they want. But can they go through another of those things again?
I see.
So there's a few paths. There's a few other ways I could do it. I could, because another way I could do it is I could focus it from the point of view of the person they're attacking, who's a known character.
Yeah. Okay.
So attacking her home, her forces. So she could be I could have it as, instead. So up to this point, the protagonists have been the guys with the guns.
Yeah. And
then I could flip the script for this chapter where I'm focused on what was the antagonist, and now she's the protagonist. Yeah. So from the narrative point of view, that she is now being the one attacked, rather than the guy.
And that is excellent connective tissue, as I mentioned earlier. The connective tissue to the main plot, these subplots should have, like they shouldn't be like existing. I know we were saying serving the main plot,
sure,
but in order to like physically connect on the page, it needs some of that, either references from the main plot, a scene from the main plot, a reference to something like a squad.
Yep.
And then we transition to the squad for them to carry on and go on this particular mission.
Sure.
So it's just to talk about then connective tissue and transitions,
Yeah.
and like how do you or what do you think is a great way or a good way to transition from main plot to subplot to main plot to subplot? Is there a structure, or is it just organic?
A line break, whether that is sufficient in my mind. A chapter break is often, like say in the examples I made, that the briefing ends one chapter, so that's why I'm at the start of another one, and so I could take it from essentially the villain's point of view,
Yeah,
and their defense of their home essentially, or I could flip flop between the two. I could essentially have starting of the chapter being her defense of her home,
yeah,
then a line break essentially, and then
we're back,
and then I could do a line break and then do, actually now thinking about it, I could do the retrospective from the other point or
Yeah.
the other person's point of view.
Okay.
So I could have both. So I could have, but I still think I might be cheating in that.
I know there's one thing I don't like doing is, say, writing part of a story. It's just something I don't like to do in my own writing, even though I've read books that have done this very successfully, and it's good, but it's just not something I do.
Sure.
Where it's a case of, like, I think like what you were saying is where on the timeline of the narrative, on the main plot, we'll say, you get to, like, so okay, if you talk about it as a week, you go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What I don't like doing in my writing is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we go to a different perspective from the subplot, and it's Tuesday.
Okay.
And we're going from Tuesday to Wednesday, Thursday. I always, maybe it's just personal choice.
Sure.
But I always like trying to keep the time
moving forward,
consistent.
Yeah.
Consistently moving forward. So when I join, when I move from main plot, main characters, main protagonist to a subplot or side characters, we meet them now.
Okay.
As in, like that, the main plot stops on Wednesday evening with some sort of question, or either a cliffhanger or a question, or resolving a question that was asked during the chapter. And now the subplot is like Thursday morning,
right?
Or it's middle of the night Wednesday,
right?
When we join. I don't like tending to go back.
Oh, sure. But would those characters Wednesday night, Thursday morning not have conversations that may go back to Tuesday?
Oh yeah, they can reference.
Yeah,
but I tend to, like, as in what is happening, like Spaceballs, the movie, when they're watching it. It's like, everything that's happening now is happening now.
Yes.
What happened to then? We missed it. When? Just now.
Yeah. Actually, so there was a thing I was working on many moons ago that I must go back to. that and it's a thing that I would. A facet I would like to use in other things. It was, the story essentially was about a group of crash landed aliens, prisoner ship, but instead of being public, it was private. And now there's these two families called the shores and the banks, as in shores and banks of rivers, as of the space. So they have all the access to all the technology. They're long lived, all that jazz. They are super powered, all that jazz. So it's a nice kind of network TV show kind of story. And all the way along, there's, of course, the FBI guy who's hunting them down.
Yes.
And there was, all throughout all the episodes of this was a TV project that I thought many months ago. Of all the episodes, there would be just before the end of the season, there'd be one episode, like, say, when you do your final episode run of, well, back when it was 20 episodes, you do kind of 18, 19, 20 with the kind of the last three.
Yeah.
And kind of oftentimes 18 or 19, 20 would be a double episode thing.
Oh, remember double episodes? They were great.
So I take 16 or 17 as or 16, 17 or 18 as just before, I'd have a focus episode, the detective, and he would go through every or as many of the previous episode stories as possible.
Okay.
As he's flashback through, and him going into the warehouse where there was a gunfight.
Clip episode.
A clip, but a very specific clip episode where he doesn't see the full story.
Yes.
The audience has. So the audience knows
Dramatic irony.
this person has seen this person shot this way. It's like, okay, he goes in, he tries to figure it out. And as he's trying to figure it out, he's clearly saying, well, clearly the heroes are villains.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who attacked.
He's putting it together.
But he's putting together wrong.
Nice.
And I love that. Essentially he justifies his point of view by seeing all the evidence that all the audience has seen of this point.
Yeah.
And rather than it being a rug pull or kind of rather than kind of changing the information, it's like no. He has seen it. He is making his rationale based on the limited information possible.
Yeah, and you're not trying to trick the audience because they know better.
Exactly.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it's one thing that I think that modern TV lacks a lot is the trust in the audience.
Yeah, I agree.
There's too many shows that will subtly just change shit or have to repeat the same thing over and over and over again. To go, no, he's a good guy, or no, this is actually happened.
But even a lot of you see it more often in TV shows, but like even in movies and in modern literature, like they're beating the audience member over the head with some things.
Sure.
They're going, like, almost grabbing them by the back of the head, shoving their nose into something, going, "Do you see this clever thing that I just did?"
Yes, yeah.
And you're, whoa, hang on a minute. Like, I was enjoying this, and now you're just slapping me in the face with this thing that I already picked up on.
Yeah,
you didn't trust me to notice that.
It's like the sting, the dun dun dun.
Yeah,
everyone must pay attention to this moment. Yeah. I think actually to go back to our primary conversation tangents is that the inside of a subplot you can hide information.
Yes,
and you can do it in a wonderfully lovely way. Like as an example, in this the thing I'm working on, I basically name a lot of people who are in this briefing, and these are all meant to be high up people. I expand it just from just kind of what was set up in the first book.
Yeah,
expand the world a bit, and I don't mention. I mention a bunch of people and how they're maybe antagonistic to the operation, but they're still going to vote yes for it. Those who want their own operation to happen, so they're going to vote yes, so they're going to get their own thing, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And in one of the last lines of the briefing part, I mentioned by name some people who are leaving the room.
Yeah, okay.
And I throw in one name that I haven't mentioned before.
Right.
So if it's a no, it's a no. So why the fuck is he there? And if someone goes, why the fuck is Horatio standing there? So
is that character like in Galaxy Quest, Sky Fleegman?
Yeah.
No one knows my name. I'm going to die.
But maybe you're the comic relief.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I get that.
Guy Fleegman. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we all remember his name.
So the idea being that he's there for whatever reason, but he's in other elements of the book.
Yeah.
And was in the first book that why would he be there at all? And it kind of opens up to the subtle elements of culture.
Yeah.
That by having him there, you are going, well, this isn't as like I said about the first book for the villains, the quote unquote villains or antagonists being monolithic.
Yeah.
That they can't be defeated, they can't be destroyed. And then as I'm going along, I'm going, no, they're just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
They're incredibly fucking powerful. And you don't want to rouse them but they are a corporation, they are an entity, they are a collective of people, and while one should be afraid of a mass of people all marching in the same direction,
yeah,
they are still got their own personalities.
Sure.
And indeed, this briefing is a perfect moment for me to go, no, these are all a bunch of people who, while they're, and essentially, yeah, as I said, the mission has been signed off. So it's almost like the people at the top going, yeah, this is going to happen. So no one's going to question it.
Yeah.
It comes now how they assess that command from on high.
Yeah, I think it's like that. That's for me the benefit and one of the great enjoyments I get from writing subplots is I know we were talking about world building, and yeah, you get your exposition in there as well, but it's expanding it's providing an alternative viewpoint to either the same events,
Sure.
different perspectives, different motivations of those secondary characters, what is driving them, how it connects to the main characters that you're following,
Yeah.
what impact they are going to have ultimately on, are they going to send the main characters off in a tangent, or are they going to, like, the actions that they undertake, are they acting in conjunction with or in opposition to what the goals of the main character?
Yes.
And what I just, like I said, the world building aspect of widening out the lens to be able to see that. And like, for example, in the first book, I would have a number of different perspectives from all over the city as the same events are happening to everybody all at once. But you get a sense of, well, if it was just following this one character, if it was just main plot, main protagonist, you wouldn't know what's happening the other side of the city.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Or you wouldn't have a natural, organic way to include scale.
Yes, yeah.
Or that kind of thing, So that's what I like about that.
Oh, sure, and to your point, while you cough up a lung, is because it is a subplot, it gets encapsulated away. It means that you can introduce the information for exposition, for world building, and it gets closed off. That happened over there.
Yeah,
it's like a wonderful example again, because we're going to go back to it often, is A Song of Ice and Fire. The first scene, the prologue of that, they introduce the White Walkers, and you don't see the White Walkers again until the end of that book.
Yeah, Song of Ice and Fire is a great example of multiple subplots with many secondary characters that all kind of all comes together in the end.
Take that one entity, so you have a bunch of people who die. One of them, the noble who's leading the raging party, has his own backstory, which I can't remember right now.
Yeah,
you have all of them get killed except one guy. That one guy flees, goes beyond the wall, goes to south of the wall, gets beheaded. But that then is a key moment for Bran, for John, and so this is how you introduce these characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it is this subplot.
And how you introduce the kind of the ethos of the North.
Exactly. So the Starks
and their responsibilities.
Exactly. So you have all these moments that you have a moment which is throwaway. Every character in that, there's no one in that who gets to speak about what happened.
Yeah.
And no one will ever find out about it. Yeah. The only people who are aware of it are the audience.
Yeah.
Because they didn't let the kid speak before he chopped off his head. He was just panicked and feared.
Yeah.
And the other side of it is as you can also close it off, you can also prep the location for your main characters.
Yes.
So
actually, they do that quite well insofar as when Robert is talking to Ned about the Targaryens, and he's like, the Targaryens are gone, and he's like, not all of them.
Yeah.
And that's when it moves to Daenerys's. It completely just goes over to, where is she at the time? Mentos, or
it's in Ethos somewhere.
Yeah. So it's again, that's like the connective tissue. They're having a conversation about this character across the sea, and then the show moves.
Oh yes, but
after about 30 minutes or something.
I would disagree on the fact that that's all main plot. As in, Daenerys's plot is main plot. Robert's plot is main plot, as in it's all main. That is I wouldn't say they're separate in that regard. I was saying that you, in just the same way that the opening of A Song of Ice and Fire introduces the concept of the White Walkers, then you don't have to reintroduce that when the White attacks John at the end.
We've established that.
Yeah. So the subplot in that almost vignette gets to be used later on, and the white skin, blue eyes. That you don't have to, just as you say, you don't have to step away and go. Yeah. So here's some exposition.
Yeah, and actually, agreeing with and disagreeing with at the same time, something that I said earlier there,
cool,
was about the setting up the main plot first. that's kind of a convention. But George R. R. Martin does not do that. He sets this little subplot up first.
No, but he is saying.
But it is the main plot.
It is the main plot.
Yeah.
That it is, but yes, but it is a sub. The subplot of those characters who die.
Yeah.
They do have a
they are secondary characters.
Absolutely.
Or tertiary.
Well, yeah, they are very,
but are way down the list.
Yeah, they as in I don't think I can name them as like
they are voted off the island first. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, they serve their significance.
Yes,
but they also weren't dispensed with. You felt sorry for, that's always amazing about kind of redshirting. You don't feel sorry for redshirts. It's like, yay, they're dead.
Yeah.
But the kid going down south.
Yeah, he's just afraid.
Yeah, exactly. And they talk about that, and that has a impact. The character they try and go, well, he's just afraid. No, doesn't matter. He's Nosebreaker.
Yeah.
So
I know. Yeah, I was just like I said. I agree. In the main, that I can see the conventional wisdom behind
right.
Set up your main plot and then bring in your subplot and then transition between the 2 or 3 different stories as you go to end of book. And what George R. R. Martin did was I felt like this little sub story of the main plot kind of goes a little bit against that, because you're not introduced to the main character first.
True. But actually you could say that the
whoever the main character is.
But there's 2 different things happening there. There is the main plot of the series and the main plot of the book.
Yeah,
you don't need the whites at all for the main plot of the book. Yeah. That's a murder mystery. And indeed, the first book of the exploit series, first book out this week. The first few chapters are about essentially are the main plot of that book.
Yeah,
are about the main plot of the series.
Mm-hmm.
They're about discovery of the exploit, and then a third the way through is when the plot for this book happens.
Uh-huh.
So essentially, what I want to do is essentially use the first part and then revisit the first part as part of this plot.
Yeah.
So
that brings us nicely to the concluding portion of this particular episode, where we're, the whole idea of standalone versus series.
Sure.
And in terms of like wider subplots, longer subplots, in a series, you've more free space to work with in order to develop those subplots, secondary characters. And now you're looking at me questioning.
Do you? Well, no, because
as opposed to a standalone where you're limited by one book.
But I guess with a series, there is perhaps, I wouldn't say almost requirement, or there's an expectation to see people again.
Yeah.
So you could have, in a standalone, you have characters, who you never see again. That's it. They're there to serve the plot, as you're saying. That's their entire purpose. That they can be smart, they can be snarky, they can be forlorn, whatever their character type are. They're there to serve.
Yeah.
But if you extend it to a series, then it is expected that those characters come back. Like, say, take the very good first season of Altered Carbon and the very, very bad second season, that they killed off characters at the end of the first and brought them back for the second, because they were favorites.
Yeah.
I was like, no, but they needed it for consistent. They thought it was a good idea, but no.
Yeah.
And then they had an episode where they brought back everyone. Just almost, let's give everyone a paycheck.
Yeah, well, that's Altered Carbon as well, isn't it? It's just like, you just bring back every character, because nobody dies if you don't want them to.
No, this was Altered Carbon. First season was incredibly good.
Yeah.
The second season was incredibly bad, and there was probably production reasons why. There was they bothered to follow the books, because they start. You can see so I read the books, and you can see the tendrils of them, and then suddenly they go off on their own.
Yeah.
So because also, if you flip the script slightly, if you have a character who has served a purpose in book 1, or say in the standalone, and that standalone is now book 1 of an extended, then they're going to serve the same purpose. Or why not bring them back to serve the same purpose again, if they're still alive? So then you have a situation where you have an expositional character, or you have a love interest, or you have whatever they served as book one. Now they get to be sit in the back. Actually, there was another project I was working on many moons ago, which again never transpired. Which was it was called Assets. It was a CIA thing, or a 3-letter thing, where the first series, whatever, 12 episodes, 20 episodes, was introduced all the characters.
Yeah.
About 20 different characters. Of them, you'd have those who are at the fore. So you'd have the let's call it kind of a Jack Ryan kind of thing. So you have Jack Ryan, you have his core people around him.
Action bro.
Exactly. You have his boss, you have the villains, you have all that setup, and then you have all the other people. You have the
tech nerd.
You have people who are beyond tech nerd. You have people who are just drone pilot. You have the guys in the field. You have the people who are just the guys who you see for just one moment, one episode, who is in the episode, not in the next. Next season, you focus on one of those smaller characters. So you big them up. So suddenly, drone pilot is now the focal point, or soldier guy is now the main, or intelligence girl is the main focus.
She has a lot going on this year.
She does indeed. But you then have everyone else also still involved.
Yeah.
But so now you see Jack Ryan is only in 2 episodes. Because you don't need that intelligence group for this as much.
Different story. Yeah.
Exactly. So you end up having this, because whenever you see, I think it was in Zero Dark 30, there's an episode, or there's a part of that where Jessica Chastain's character has been brought back from Pakistan and is now back in CIA, and they've identified where they think Bin Laden is, and they have the drones going overhead, and they're trying to assess, and they're talking about they're under the Grape Arbor, and they're trying to figure out all this stuff.
Okay.
And there's a guy who's talking about it. He's drone operator dude.
Yeah.
And it would be great for them to go, actually, let's have a story focused on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chastain's character comes back and will, not necessarily in the same timeline as you're mentioning, keep the timeline moving forward. But then she is still an important asset in the field. Then there'll still be the guys with the guns. You still have the same options. That those guys with guns are going to be going off and killing someone else the following week.
Yeah.
So having this wonderfully massive, intricate world building, then the question becomes, what's the subplot and what's the main plot?
Yeah.
So it means that a character who served as a main character now serves in a subplot position. It means it's a much more complex and difficult thing to write.
Yeah, and then just to finish in and around ending.
Sure.
So to finish with ending,
sure.
Specifically ending subplots. Is there a preference when you're writing? Because I know there is conventional wisdom about, you have all your subplots, like, your mentor, mentee, these type of subplots within the main arc, like mentor, mentee, the buddy thing, even the romantic subplots, all kind of coalescing together for the climax of the book, or can they tie themselves off just beforehand? And again, I'll bring it back to Star Wars, since that's where we started. So, like, as Luke is going down the trench, you have the mentor mentee, he hears Obi-Wan kind of tell him to trust his feelings, and that's kind of tying that up. And then you have
I wouldn't say that's tying it up.
Well, it comes back at the end, at a pivotal moment. You have kind of, obviously, there's the images of Leia and how concerned she is about Luke and the situation in general. And then you have Han kind of ditching his cynicism and coming back to help, and, pew pew, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And it all,
with what gun? We don't know, because they don't have guns.
The quad guns on the Millennium Falcon?
Well, the shot appeared to come from because there's a scene in Jedi where they're having the final fight over Endor, and there's shots that come from the middle part between the two prongs of the head.
It's a very highly modifiable YT 1300 cruiser.
Exactly,
nerd. But all those like kind of little subplot elements literally come together in an explosion.
Yes, but yes and no, because so I would say that a subplot doesn't in all the ones you mentioned, subplots don't end. All those don't end.
Yeah.
They were all pieces that were thrown into the main plot, and the main plot ends.
Yeah, sure.
So the Han, Leia, Obi-Wan, all these contributed to this one character, our hero with 1,000 faces, got to do his big thing.
Yeah.
And he was both inspired by and saved by, and all the things that were built up all the way along got to that one crucial moment in the main plot.
Yes.
The secondary plots still exist.
Sure.
Because those ones you mentioned they are ongoing relationship drama.
But everything else served the main plot in the end.
Oh yes, yeah. But you don't have to close it off.
No,
indeed, because then you can use him later on. Indeed, despite his death, they used Obi-Wan later on.
Yeah.
So, in many ways, so there is So you're closing off the main, and indeed with Song of Ice and Fire, that one vignette at the start was not something to close off. That was the starting gun for the entire series.
Yeah. And I know in my own writing, I tend to the other stories that are happening around the main character in other places. I tend to kind of try and tie them off just before the main plot concludes.
Okay.
So it comes to a natural rest point for those characters, a natural pause.
I'd be the opposite. That the tapestry being built, there's a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
That because it is.
Well, yeah. Sorry, not so much tie off, but a natural pause.
Okay.
So those stories can continue in the next book and so on, because I know I'm writing a series, so I have it open, but I just bring the subplots to a nice gentle rest.
Okay. Yeah.
I carry on.
I wouldn't do that so that indeed I would tend to, in any series I'm working on, I'd tend to close off that plot for that story, but leave everything else untethered.
Sure.
Because that's the messiness of life. Because I had a nice revelation about quantumancy recently, so I now have because I'm coming more to believe that I'm less. I would always consider myself a planner first, but more and more, especially for the long term stuff, I know exactly where they're going.
Yeah,
I don't know all the pieces, and when I have a revelation, I go, "Oh, that's a piece."
Oh, that'd be good.
And if it fits nicely into place, I go, "Okay, that's cool. That works." So I allow the story to grow. It's almost like I put a heavy structure in place, and I'll then allow the growth to happen in between. And I had a nice revelation. So,
like putting seeds in a flower box. Box is the structure.
Sure,
they grow how they
and then prune like crazy. Yeah. So I have the path for one of the three protagonists all the way to the end of this book and the next book. So I know the conversations that are going to happen.
Yeah.
It didn't mean I had to ditch half a chapter because it was like, oh, well, I'll never actually get to that point. So bye-bye.
Cut, paste into notes.
Yes, but it was...
Come back to you.
It's something that is now lost in time because it'll never happen in the timeline. But it now is but I know as I'm writing that person's plot will not end. Because at one point she'll just disappear.
Yeah,
and so her plot will not end in that book. Yeah, I need time to transpire.
Yeah,
for everyone else, as you were saying, as in if
the clock keeps running.
Yeah, one plot ends on Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, someone else is existing in that time.
Yes, exactly.
But I need that week and the following week and the following week after that to happen before I can go back to that character. So that means that one book will end with her just disappearing from at one point.
No spoilers.
Yes, Bob will remember this.
You don't know. You
I think we do.
Someone's currently reading the previous one. I'm not listening to this anymore. He just told me the end.
No. Actually, that's right. That's they don't know until they read it.
Sure, I'm just kidding.
No, but it's an annoying thing that happens more and more, that people go, "Oh, spoilers." Then you're not interested. If someone can be
Spoiled.
Spoiled by not. So, oh, I find out that this happened. I'm not going to watch it anymore. I'm not going to read it anymore. It's like, no.
Missing the point.
The journey is the point. Or someone online going, I think I figured out the answer.
Yeah.
You don't know you figured out the answer until you actually read the end of the book.
Sure.
So I think I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but there is a difference. Removing someone who's coming to a story fresh, removing their opportunity to experience it themselves without some external kind of person going, "Oh, haha, this happens." You're like, I wanted to get there on my own.
Sure, there is an aspect of
that's what I could consider a spoiler. Like if you were to go Sixth Sense.
Yes,
all I have to say is Sixth Sense without spoiling it.
Yes, but Sixth Sense was an average movie, which was made made better by the twist.
Yeah.
But I was told about, say, Daenerys's getting of the Unsullied, where she gives away a dragon and then gets the dragon back. I was told about that beforehand.
Yeah.
I was told about the Red Wedding beforehand.
Yeah.
And it didn't spoil my enjoyment of it. Actually, can I say that? I don't know. I might be wrong, because I don't know if
you haven't got the alternative because you were aware.
This is not actually quite true, but
I was shocked when I watched it in a good way, in a way of, this is excellent TV. This is like, it just, when the credits go black, and you're just like, that was good. I really enjoyed that episode.
Sure.
I was like, this is great storytelling. This is this is why this show is so popular.
Yeah.
I was like, I enjoyed the sudden kind of change in pace and tone and everything. I was just like, this is great.
Oh, yes, and I'm happy to be wrong with that. I would only say that you could still go back and watch old stuff.
Yeah, I'd still enjoy it if I was to watch it again.
Sure.
But you can never do it the first time.
Yes,
again.
I would say there's a difference in the things that you never go back and watch again. Like we could talk all and at length about the fact that we'll go back and watch Next Generation over and over and over again, and we'll never watch Discovery again. So there is a distinction between what is a good story and what was just shock factor. And that's the difference. That's why I find with the spoilers of, shock factor.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to see how it happened.
Yeah, no, perfect. And again, as always, I kind of say, this is a subject that we may revisit again. It's almost like a catchphrase coming in now. But we may revisit plots, or subplots and secondary characters.
Well, we haven't talked about secondary characters.
We haven't. We
haven't touched it at all.
Well, which is a good reason why we may come back to it. We may come back to something that we haven't actually touched on. But for now, I appreciate anyone who has listened to us tangent on and ramble on about all kinds of things writing. This has been Fictional Problems. Thanks for listening.
Keep watching the skies.